All right. Well, there's no Profit Like It's Hot music here because we're not doing Profit Like It's Hot. We're doing Consistently Cashin. Colby usually brings in some kind of elevator music, which sounds like you guys are going to go to sleep right at the beginning every time. But we're not going to do that. We're not. We got good picks to make, and we don't have time to waste with this boring music of his. Anyway, but good to be here. I'm Bob Long, of course, Big Guy Fantasy Sports. Right below me is Mr. Ron Rigney, who we are doing the holy trinity of podcasts this week: the Consistency Show, the Profit Like It's Hot, and the Consistently Cashin. We're dropping viewer rate. Female ratings are way down because there's no Colby Conway here for the women to stare at. So sorry, ladies. We're going to help you win some money. You'll just have to do the other stuff later. But everybody, welcome. We are here to walk you through our DraftKings picks to build our cash lineup for the week. So, Ron, good to see you as always. I feel like we've just been staring at each other for hours now on these podcasts. But how's it going down there?
Doing good, man. A little, slowly recovering from the wind and rain from yesterday. So all good today. Yeah, like you said, the handsome factor definitely has dropped a little bit this week, but that's okay because we're going to make up for it by hitting on some of those big props that we gave you in the other pod, and we're going to hit on it. Make up for it by hitting on this lineup too. We've been off to a good start. Honestly, I can't even remember if we cashed last week. I'm thinking we did not. So I think we might be 2 for 3. I'll have to ask Colby, or I'll have to go back and look.
Still pretty good, but
still pretty good. Yeah, we're off to a pretty solid start. So if we did not, I'm hoping we can get back on the board with the clutch game this week in week 4.
I got you. So this will be the DraftKings Classic. I've got mine pulled up for the win the $1 million. So I'm going to put my $20 in to hopefully cash this in. Well, no, it's not the $1 million one. I forget, but it doesn't matter. We're here to do cash games for you anyway, not GPP. So I'll let you start, Ron, with your pick at quarterback.
Couple ways you can go here. There's a couple of games on the board that I think, when you look at the totals, of course, you got that Commanders game there, 50 and a half. You've got Houston and Jacksonville, that Commanders versus Arizona game. That's what I was looking for. You got Cincy and Carolina that's got a sneaky high total there. But I feel like, and of course, it hurts a little bit to do this, but I'm going to have to do it anyway. I'm going to pick on my Colts defense. It has not been good. You've seen it. You've watched it. You guys have seen what they've put out there, and you can throw on them. And so I feel like the combination of Justin Fields throwing and Justin Fields running against Indy at $5,500 is a nice little combo of a guy that I feel like he's cemented in that job. He's not giving it up. Got some weapons on offense. It's at Indy, so it's going to be indoors. Not to say that the weather's going to be bad anywhere you're at, but it's going to be, again, something where he's got the weapons to throw to. That defense has been pretty atrocious at times, and so I think for $5,500, that's where I went. A couple other guys you can look at in that kind of that price level. Caleb Williams is another one that I looked at $5,100. Lots of weapons at his disposal as well in a solid matchup this week. It eludes me who he's against right at this second. I can't find him here.
Who?
Caleb Williams. Who does Chicago have?
The Rams.
The Rams. So the Rams, again, allowing pass yards by the bunch, and they're going to have to throw too because they're not very good on defense. So that's another one that I like there. But I think this is a week where you can pay down a little bit at quarterback. I mean, I can see some of those mid-tier guys, but I felt pretty good about my lineup with Justin Fields.
I got you. So I'm looking at the NFLweather.com, definitely the site to go to. Tampa Bay, Philly at Tampa Bay, 68% chance of numerous rain showers. Now, that surprises me because I felt like the hurricane should be all through, but must not going to be. So definitely take a check on that one. The Bears, 20% chance of rain, and the Indy Colts, but that one's indoors, so we don't care. The Denver and the Jets is also 18%, 20% for the Panthers game. So other than that, pretty decent. Ravens, Bills, also 50% chance of rain on Sunday night. So definitely keep an eye out on that stuff, but you never know. Weather's been crazy with the hurricanes blowing through the eastern half of the United States. Certainly been a lot of fun. So as we talked about, the Eagles game, Saquon Barkley has been the Saquon Barkley we knew from a number of years ago. Hadn't been the same for the Giants because, well, they stink. And now he's got a good team around him, good offensive line. He's certainly been just running rampant. Hence why he's at the top of the list at $8,000. It's tough anytime you're looking at this stuff to go, I got to take the top guy. But I think this week you have to do it. Tampa Bay 30th against giving up fantasy points to running backs. There are some other options a little bit cheaper, but man, I just feel like the ceiling is so high for Barkley this year. I mean, he could pop off 100 plus yards, couple touchdowns, 4 or 5 catches. I mean, that's why he's averaging 30 points a week. And, the next closest is Kamara, but he's got a tough matchup and he's talking about a hip issue. So I'm going to go Barkley with the go high chalk, but got to go. You got to do it.
I agree. I don't usually, if you watch this show, you know that we don't normally advocate for that either. It's hard to build those lineups around it, but I feel like, with Devontae Smith most likely out, AJ Brown does not look like he's going to play yet again. I look at Saquon Barkley is going to get work early and often. Dallas Goedert, if you're looking at tight ends, another guy later on, but I just feel like at that $8,000, I know it's a lot, but you don't see too many guys in DraftKings that have that 30 points per game. I don't know that I've seen too many ever that have that.
Not even wide receivers are that high.
Right. And you look at the rest of the running backs, there's a couple guys that are close, but I think he's a no-brainer. And again, don't feel great about it, but I think you got to go with it just because he's going to catch the ball. He's going to run it. He's going to get a ton of touches.
So I know you've got a person here to offset that high cash. You're going to go with somebody a little bit cheaper, but somebody you're very high on this week, both on the prop bet world and in the DFS world. So tell everybody who you're going with for the second running back on our team this week.
So the rest of the lineup is kind of a bunch of mid-range guys. And one of the things I felt good about with this building around Saquon Barkley is being that high-priced player. There's a lot of guys in that $5,000 to $6,500 range that are involved in some high-scoring games where there's maybe a guy in front of them out, or just giving you exposure to those games without having to pay up for all the top guys. Zach Moss is, again, like you said, a guy that I'm high on in the props as well. Got him down for 2+ touchdowns this week. Again, I don't know that the yardage total is going to be huge, but I feel like since he can get up, get a little bit of a lead, and then get to a point where they want to just hand to Zach Moss early and often. He's averaging about 11 carries per game, so he's not getting the ball a ton, but I feel like with what he is going to get this week, he can get in the end zone at least once, maybe twice. I'm hoping twice, so that plus 400 prop bet we got pays off. But I felt pretty good about that, offsetting that $8,000 at $5,900.
Yeah, no, I love that. Like you said, Carolina's defense still stings. Now, they put up some points last week, so I feel like this could be a high-scoring game between these two because Cincy's defense isn't much better. So this could be quite the shootout. Moss getting a couple of rushing touchdowns certainly can happen. Definitely love that. So as we move into the wide receiver position, first off, I just wanted to show the top of this list, folks. If it looks like our TV screen is bleeding, is because there's a lot of red on it. Because we've got Cooper Kupp out, A.J. Brown's out, Marvin Harrison, questionable, but should play. Devontae Adams just was announced here on Friday afternoon that he's out this week. Devontae Smith probably won't play, coming back from concussion. So there's a lot of people. Deebo Samuel out as well. Nico Collins is questionable as well. So as Ron said, we kind of slowly moved down the list and went down here into the as Ron mentioned, close to that upper 5s, low the mid 6s. And our first choice at wide receiver with Nico Collins possibly being out this week is we're going to go with Stephon Diggs at 6,600. I've been a Diggs guy all summer. Not everybody has. Even Colby has argued with me on Stephon Diggs. So you know that I was surprisingly standing out on my own pedestal on this guy preaching, and so far so good. 16.5 fantasy points a week. Been doing great in fantasy for me. But like you said, this week, if Nico Collins is slow, either to be on the field or slow when he's on the field, Diggs could see a lot of work this week in this offense. Jacksonville has just not been good, and this could be a shootout. They've been that way in the past. So I feel like there's a super high ceiling here for Diggs in this game. And so we're going to go with him at 6,600. So Ron, your thoughts and who you got for the second wide receiver choice?
And even if Nico Collins plays, I still like that pick a lot. Again, we talked about CJ Stroud. He's another guy. If you want to pay up a little bit more at quarterback, I think there's going to be quite a bit of fantasy goodness there. I think Jacksonville is going to be able to do enough to force Houston to throw quite a bit, and I think the numbers are going to be there. Second guy we've got there, I wanted to stack somebody with Justin Fields. I was looking at Pat Freiermuth, the tight end, but I think we're going to go with George Pickens here for $5,700. Again, Indy has just not been able to show up defensively. They've just not been what we thought they could be. They haven't got after the quarterback like we thought. They are fifth worst as far as allowing fantasy points to wide receivers. That bodes well for Mr. Pickens at $5,700. Again, the huge point totals haven't been there yet, but not expecting him to show out and be huge, but there's no reason he can't get 5 or 6 grabs and get in the end zone against this Indy defense that I wish was so much better.
No, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. Like you said, Pickens definitely just should be. I mean, everywhere I've even heard anybody talking about, breakout players this week, Pickens is high on the list. Jeff Mann's FTN guys today were talking about him as well. So definitely love that pick and at that price. As Ron said, we got, you see this average per is down in the 4,500 range. So we got to keep pinching some pennies. So we're going to move down to 5,200, and Rome Odunze, he's really kind of starting to come on and click with Caleb Williams there. They're needing to throw the ball a lot because their running game is just putrid, absolutely putrid. They can't run the ball at all. DeAndre Swift is just not there, just doesn't have it anymore. They're talking about Roshan Johnson maybe running the ball a little bit more this week, but in this game with the Rams and the Bears, that there's a lot of offense that going to be going around. Odunze is certainly clicking, like you said, with Caleb the last couple of weeks. And I feel like at $5,200, this is a really nice deal. So I'm going to go with Rome Odunze there. There is talk about Keenan Allen coming back, but again, they may not, especially if there's a little bit of rain in the forecast for possible slippage. They may keep Allen out another week just to be safe. So going with Odunze. So Ron, your thoughts on Rome if you want to, Odunze, and who you got for tight end?
Second, going against the Rams this week, second most fantasy points given up this season so far. And, he's been a downfield threat too. And we know Keenan Allen's not quite that yet. Keenan Allen could see some catches, but I just feel like at that price point, you got to go there. Where we're going at tight end, we're going with a guy that, we've talked about quite a bit the last few seasons here. Guy that had so much promise coming out, and I think the coaching staff that's in Atlanta is finally figuring out how to use him, and that's Kyle Pitts at 4,800. I feel like this guy's just going to get better and better. I feel like he's not going to be below 5,000 for much longer, so I think we need to take advantage of this. And the Saints, as good as they've been on defense, fifth worst against tight ends on defense, so I think that's worth noting there. Again, at home, inside, so yeah, you're not going to have to worry about the weather there, but I think Kyle Pitts gets in the end zone this week. Might give you 5 for 60 and a score, and I think that's pretty solid. Has a lot of potential to do even more than that, but love him at 4,800.
That's huge for tight ends,
right? Yeah.
This week is you're a god. So that's for sure. Well, I'm going to switch over. I'm going to go to the defensive team, and then we'll come back to the flex so that we can kind of see how that's going to fit in money wise. There's some decent choices this week. Some of the higher price ones, we got the Niners playing at home against New England. That offense hasn't been doing much. The Jets, bringing Denver in town. They certainly have potential. Chiefs playing against a Chargers team without Justin Herbert, so that could be questionable. But we, believe it or not, we're going to take my Cleveland Browns. Why? They're playing the Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas. And, as we mentioned just a few little bit of minutes ago, to no Devontae Adams this week. So now we're down to whether it's Aiden O'Connell or Uncle Rico at quarterback. It doesn't really matter because they're throwing to Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, Brock Bowers, and they've been struggling offensively. Had a decent week last week, but Browns defense certainly can bring it. Myles Garrett, I don't think he's playing this week, and if he does, he's been a little bit injured, so they may give him a week off. But I still feel like there's a lot of potential for turnovers here, and so we're going to go with the Browns defense against the Raiders at $3,500. So That leaves us exactly 4,800. So we're going to scroll down there to that spot right there. And Ron can tell us who he picked.
So again, we needed 48. We got $4,800 left to spend, and usually when you look at that price total for what you've got left, it's not going to be great. But if you scroll down far enough, you're going to find again. It's all this week. I feel like it's all about getting a piece of these higher scoring games at a little bit of a bargain. Guy that I wrote about in my article, Chartarius Atwell. You lovingly know him as Tutu Atwell for the Rams. Yes, this guy is still around. He's still there in LA, and as we know, it's kind of slim pickings in the wide receiver room for the Rams, and they're going to have to throw it just because they're not very good on defense. And I look for Chicago to be able to throw it a little bit. Last week, got 5 targets, hauled in 4 for 93. The week before that, 3 for 48. Again, I look for him to be targeted at least 5 to 7 times, haul in some of those. Hopefully, we'll get a touchdown out of it. But with that game script, at that total at 4,800, there's a lot to like there at that price point with Mr. Tutu Atwell.
Gotcha. All right. So there we go. Our lineup for the week in your cash games. Justin Fields, Saquon Barkley, Zach Moss, Stephon Diggs, George Pickens, Rome Odunze, Kyle Pitts, Tutu Atwell, and the Cleveland Browns defense. So get in that money, get some cash in for this week. And we appreciate everybody for listening in. Ron, tell everybody where they can find you, and then we'll take it out from there.
Of course, at BigGuyFantasySports.com, all the great articles, all the great content over there. Please check that out. Come for the consistency, stay for everything else. Hopefully, we'll win you some money this week. At Ron Rigney on the X machine, and like I said, hopefully we'll get back on that winning track, both in the props and in the DFS world as well.
Yeah, feeling it for both. Definitely love these lineups. Definitely love some of our picks this week. So check everything out. Big Guy Fantasy Sports subscription, $20 for the whole year. You win your money back this week. Just from his Zach Moss 2 touchdowns, easily win. You'll get your $20 back. It's that simple. So for Ron Rigney, I'm Bob Lung. Check me out, Bob_Lung on the Twitter machine. I'm not calling it X. Never will. Sorry, Elon. It's not going to happen. All right, everybody, take care. God bless. We'll see you soon.